First of all, thank you very much for the invitation from Ashoka Italia, and very happy to be part of the Centro, and I hope I can contribute. So I wanted to share a bit of our work and see how that connects with the whole rationale of the festival and of this big effort of Ashoka that Luca just described. And I wanted to start by saying that the work that Ashoka does in Latin America is working with several partners that are very strategic in making sure that we reach everyone with this vision of everyone a change maker, and not a work that we do directly on the ground in the sense that really the credit goes to the organizations on the ground that are directly working with people in these communities. I'm going to share my screen briefly just so that I can give you a bit of the context. Let me see if you can you see it? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, good. So this vision, this overall vision of Ashoka of everyone a change maker is very, very much connected to this big principle of making sure that whatever it is that society produces of value that helps uplift and helps people thrive and helps the world be a better place can be accessible to everybody, that everybody can be part of this world of change making. And the big question that really drives us is, how can we thrive? How can we be successful in the sense of happiness, of fulfillment, in a world that is not only more and more uncertain, but also where the rate of change is very accelerated. So we're not denying that the change has happened forever, and there were other moments in history where change was very rapid, but we also cannot deny that the rate with which this change is taking place now is unprecedented. And that produces all sorts of insecurities, of difficulties. It increases the inequalities that already exist. It puts people at the corners and out of the main access to opportunities even more than before. And so we really need to act, and we need to try and answer that question. What Ashoka wants in order to think of what we need to thrive there. So the solution that Ashoka has been cultivating throughout these almost 40 years is this visualization that we want to live in a world that can cultivate the skills, but also the values associated with empathy, teamwork, creativity, shared leadership, and change making. So the act of putting your own active ability to change and to solve problems in the world, so that all the children and youth have the opportunity to realize their fullest potential as change makers for the common good. So we put the focus on these skills, not because it's just those skills, but because they also speak of values, and they speak of what we expect for the world and what we think are the conditions necessary for us to build this world where everyone is a change maker. So we can ask ourselves, what are the, if we were to look at different peripheries of big cities and rural areas and the central areas especially, we could almost think of whether or not these skills and values are truly being cultivated and practiced by citizens, by the people who live there, and to what extent. And that is a pretty good indicator of whether or not that region, that certain region, is building its capacity as a change maker region, as a change maker hotspot. And for us to really reach that, this kind of very aspirational and challenging vision, we believe we need a new framework for the growing up experience. In other words, we need to look at a child that is growing up today with different set of expectations, expecting this child to be more than just qualify for a job, or to just learn academic skills, or to just conform with what society is giving him or her, right? We need this child to be able to be everything that he or she can be, and to be active, to be an agent of change, to be actively engaged in creating solutions, fulfilling their dreams, putting their ideas into practice. And this framework is what we call everyone a change maker. And to describe briefly what we're doing in Brazil, we've created an ecosystem with several different partners that tries to create the conditions for especially the new generations, but not just them, to be able to cultivate these skills, to have the opportunity to really put their minds and their hands um, in action based on their dreams, on their desires, and to receive support in order to do this and be able to thrive as change makers. So we articulate 5 different, basically we connected with several of our social entrepreneurs of the Ashoka Fellows in Brazil, and we've created what we call the Everyone a Changemaker co-lead community. It's a group of about 120 people that from all over the country that then support us in identifying teams inside very strategic partners in government, in schools of education, in unions, in media companies, and in big publishers to try and shift the social demand so that this idea of everyone a change maker becomes the new norm, becomes the new set of expectations, for instance, of the educational system, of what parents expect of the schools where their kids are enrolled, of how the media talks about the challenges of youth, for instance, in a given context, and so on. And the way that we organized our work is that we identified 9 hotspots. We call them changemaker hotspots throughout the country. And they are specifically the places where we see the highest density of co-leaders in this community, and also the ability to challenge this idea of a center and everything that is not center, right? And of course, 2 of our hotspots are in areas that are considered to be central to Brazil because they are, the economic, or we all know how the story goes, where most of the money is, where most of the kind of political administration is. But 7 of them out of 9 are really in areas that are not central, and we are being able to develop those areas together as changemaker hotspots. I just wanted to highlight one, which is this one here on the green northern part of Brazil, which is Manaus. It's a very large city, and I don't know why it's not seen as central, because to me it's the most central, probably the most central place in the whole world, because it concentrates all of the resources and the richness of nothing other than the Amazon region, the Brazilian side of the Amazon region. And it has about 2.5 million people living there, and from all sorts of different traditional indigenous communities, plus the very urban community as well. And today, the team in Manaus has become a national reference of innovation in the educational system, thanks to this work we're doing together, and especially thanks to their own, of course, their own innovations and agency. And they're starting to share and to share their learnings with other parts of the country that have historically received more money, interest, and attention. So it's very interesting to see a team in a part of the country that has always been deserviced, underprivileged, treated with disrespect, be in a position, at least in the educational system for now, and we hope in other dimensions of the city, be in a position of actually sharing their knowledge and being recognized nationally and internationally for their work. And we do that also with the other 9 areas. And just to conclude with a message, I think that what we've learned is that in order for a place to be really activate the potential and the change-making potential of their citizens, of their people, we need to look at almost to have like an ontological turn in how we look at development, local development, of how countries are organized, of how administration is thought of, the boundaries between cities, neighborhoods, what is rural, what is not rural, what is in, what is out, center and periphery. So all of these dimensions need to be looked again. And in a certain way, we need to break with some of these divisions and barriers And for that, we believe we need an ontological turn. Ontological in the sense of investigating the conditions of existence of change makers. What is it that makes a certain region more more active, with more active citizens? What is it that enables certain regions to have more of this ability than others? And how can we then make sure that all of them have that? And what I like about that kind of ontological turn is that it removes the peripheral areas from a position of being inferior, seen as inferior, because actually, if you apply this lens of the conditions of existence, it's actually the non-central areas that have much more ability to foster and cultivate those skills that I was talking about, because they are more social relational. They have more of the perspectival ability because they deal with more of a community approach. They have to do a lot with very few resources. They have more collective approaches than individualistic approaches. This is, of course, I'm not trying to generalize, but I'm trying to show that usually most of the conditions of existence of a change maker are not in the very crowded central regions of a given geography. Yet they're still seen as inferior or as having less conditions to participate and to contribute. So that is, and just finishing and speaking to Luca's question, on one hand, an opportunity, but also a frustration to see that they're being put in the in a side of the inequality, whereas in fact it's where most of the richness and the solutions to get out of this world of uncertainty and to address this accelerated rate of change actually lives. Thank you.